What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader. Welcome back to the channel. We've got a number of vintage Kenner Star Wars items, all mint on card and packaged items. I'm playing a little catch up after being on vacation for a little bit with the family. I hope everyone had a good 4th, and I wanted to dig right into some awesome items that all sold on eBay over the last, I'd say, week or so. All of them mint on card or packaged items. And the first one is a 12-back C. Luke Skywalker, graded UKG 80%. What a gorgeous, gorgeous Luke. Now, I'll say this, that the figure score of 75 is certainly applicable. This is something I beat into everyone's head ad nauseum, and that's that these figures can degrade inside the blister, and very clearly this Luke is no exception. His hands have the paint has worn off. There's a lot of wear around the white tunic portion of his legs. So that figure is degraded, and it's appropriately graded by UKG. The subscores were 80, 90% for the blister, and then 75 for the figure, which is correct. And it was punched, but it did not have any price sticker. It sold for $2,981 or 24.61 British pounds. So a gorgeous Luke, and another example that anything high grade that's a 12-back is going to command big money. Here was another one. I was so tempted by this one. This is a gorgeous example of a 20-back Death Star droid. UKG 85% unpunched. What a beautiful item. It's got the free Boba Fett offer. This is the 20-back E. I can't remember which one I have. I have like the D or the F. I don't remember. But what a gorgeous, gorgeous Death Star droid. A little bit of wear to the eye there. It could have been from the factory. It could be paint degradation, but you can see his left eye has kind of a wonky paint scheme, and I've got a number of those that are mint on card for the Death Star droid, where the paint scheme for the eyes especially is a little strange. But again, the scores were 85, 90, and 90 for the figure score. I think that figure score is a little high, just given either the paint defects from the factory or the fact that eye has started to wear a little bit. It might just be the lighting, who knows, but it doesn't matter. It's just an absolutely epic version of the Death Star droid. And here's the back of the card with that kit bashed Boba Fett. Just incredible. 1,310 British pounds, and that equates to 1587 US dollars. So another big, big money item. Here was a beautiful die-cast snow speeder. This was mint on card. Just a little bit of yellowing to the blister. Overall, pretty great shape. Little crease there in the lower right-hand corner on the front of the card back. Some wear here and there. There's some hang tab wear, things like that. Probably like a 75 grade is my guess. That one sold for 616 US dollars plus shipping on 9 bids. That closed on June 30th, but a very nice example. You can see some wear there also on the back, in the upper right-hand corner on the back, but very, very nice example of the snow speeder die-cast. This seller had a couple of really nice items. These were up in Canada, and I don't know if I have them in order, but you know, they weren't listed for shipping to the US, but I did message him, and he did say he would ship to the US and just wait for the total. I didn't end up bidding on it, but I wanted to. This was a 31-back A Han Solo, AFA 80. The subscores were 80, 80, and 80. So this is the debut card. It was punched, and it did have a price sticker on it. That sold for 810 Canadian or 628 US dollars. I think that's pretty fair, just given what it is. It's the debut card, so you're going to pay a little bit more for it, but very high grade and clear blister. Different seller, but this one was a 32-back B Yoda, and that one sold for $11.25 for an AFA 80. Here are the subscores on it, 80, 80, 85. So Yoda continues to go up in price a little bit. I mean, I picked up mine for, it was ungraded, and it ended up getting a CAS 80. But, I picked mine up for about a third of that price last year. So that shows you how much that a clear blister 32-back B Yoda has gone up. And this is one of the most common, if not the most highly produced figure on the Empire Strikes Back card back. So if you're looking for one of these, just be patient. Either pick one up in a auction like this, or ungraded. You're certainly going to do better than grade it yourself. Side note there, AFA has really cut down their turnaround times. You know, my last batch from them took about 5 months. I just got billed for my latest batch of vintage collection, and they're projecting to be done in 2.5 months. So they have really cut down their wait times and turnaround times for grading, and that's just an FYI for those of you who were kind of patiently waiting for the grading services to kind of get back to normal turnaround times. But it looks like AFA, based on the projections that were in my last invoice, they're down to 2.5 months for their cheapest tier option. Here was a beautiful Sand People. This was unpunched. It did have a price sticker, the Toys R Us price sticker, but gorgeous clear blister. And I'm not sure which card back this was. It looks like the 32 back Sand People. That sold for $293 on 17 bids on July 2nd. That's a pretty good deal for I'd call that like an 80 quality clear blister Sand People. So some pretty good deals still to be had out there. This same seller also had it looks like another 32 back Leia, Princess Leia, clear blister, unpunched, and again with that same Toys R Us price sticker. But this was a gorgeous item, and it sold for $898 on 15 bids. You're going to be paying a lot of money for a clear blister Princess Leia on any card bag, but I think that's a pretty decent deal, just given what Princess Leia's have gone for. That same seller had this one. This one was the 45 back Star Wars Display Arena, and it was punched with a price sticker. That one sold for $636 plus shipping. I think that's a great price for a really pretty Princess Leia. There it is right there. You can see how beautiful that clear blister was. I really like that Star Wars Display Arena offer. It matches nicely with the blues on the card back and behind the figure there. So really nice combination. And again, that same seller also had a 45 back Luke Skywalker. This was the dark brown hair. It looked like that, very tough to find that one, only available on the ESP card backs. It did have a tear at the top of the hang tab, and that probably kept the price down, but I don't know if it really kept the price down that much. That sold for $1,425. So, a rare variant for the Luke Skywalker Farm Boy mint on card. That's probably fair in the current environment. Here was an AFA 80 41 back Luke Skywalker Bespin Fatigues. Really nice example. The no discoloration to the torso, it looks like. And the sub scores were 80, 85, and 80. And that was listed for 1,200 pounds. Best offer was accepted. I think that's a great price for a beautiful high grade Luke Skywalker Bespin, just given some of the other prices I've seen for this figure. I mean, I've seen that sell for quite a bit more than 1,200 pounds. So great pickup there. Here was the same seller that had that graded Tusken Raider, I believe. Let's see, where was it now? He had, the Han Solo. So this same seller that had the 31 back Han Solo also had this Chewbacca. This was the 41 back E, graded AFA 80 plus. Archival case, unpunched, no price sticker, clear blister, as good as it gets. That sold for 806 Canadian or $625 and change. I think that's a great price for a beautiful 41 back E Chewbacca. I've got the Bosk on that same card back, and that's just a gorgeous example for a very fair price. Contrast that with this one. This one was an AFA 80 plus 21B, and this one was the 41 back B. And 21B has definitely been going up in price quite a bit, but this was a gorgeous unpunched example. That one sold for $11.39. So 21B continues to command big prices here recently, and that was a gorgeous example. And another one that sold was this one. This one sold for $361 free shipping, but it did have a yellowed blister. This was the 47 back free 4-LOM offer, but it did have a little bit of yellowing to the blister. It was punched with the Kmart price sticker. $361. Again, took that one home. That's a pretty decent price, even though the blister was yellowed on that one. And here was a 45 back Ugnaught. It looked to be a clear blister based on the photos. It's hard to tell, but it looks clear to me. The price sticker was on the blister, as you can see there. It's got the Toys R Us price sticker, so that probably kept the price down a little bit, just given that the price sticker is so pronounced right there on the blister. But that sold for $293 and change. I think that's a pretty decent price. Here's the back of the card. A little bit of wear to the hang tab, but overall, pretty nice example. It's got the U stamp in the lower right-hand corner, signifying that this was made in the Unitoys factory over in Hong Kong. Another 4-LOM offer. This was the Walrus Man. This was an unpunched example, really nice, and unpunched. That one sold for 320 pounds or $387 and change plus shipping. But that's a really nice high-grade example of the Walrus Man. This is one that I have in my collection, graded AFA 80. This was an unpunched example, though. Mine is punched. And this one was ungraded, but it did have a little bit of yellowing to the blister, just like mine. Another 4-LOM offer, 47 back ESB Luke Skywalker Hoth Battle Gear. And that one sold for 585 Australian dollars, which equates to about 400 US and change. Now, again, I paid about 600-ish for mine. And that one, maybe I paid a little bit more. I don't remember, but I definitely paid a lot more than the $400 number here. But again, mine was graded, and the yellowing on my blister wasn't nearly as bad as this one. But I think that's a great price. Whoever picked that up, $400 for that. It looked to be about 80 grade quality for a unpunched Luke Hoth Battle Gear. I've got the 45 back Luke with a clear blister at AFA right now. I should have that back probably in about 2 months. So looking forward to getting that one back. Here was an AFA 80 Lando Skiff Guard. This is the 65 back C with the free Emperor offer. The subgrades were 80, 80, and 85. It was listed as a clear blister on the grading label, but I think that it has yellowed a little bit since grading. It might just be my imagination, but if you look at the racetrack there, it does look a little bit yellowed. So you got to keep that in mind for any of these Return of the Jedi card backs. You know, even after grading, they can yellow a little bit. That one sold for $275 on free shipping. That's a pretty fair price, just given that it has yellowed a little bit since grading. Here was a yellowed AFA 80 Biker Scout, but this is the Made in Mexico. Surprisingly, this has a yellowed blister, which is very rare for the Made in Mexico for the U.S. market MIMS, Return of the Jedi card backs. They just very rarely yellow, but this one did yellow, and here's the back of the card. And you can always tell it's the MIM because down in the lower left-hand corner, it will say Made in Mexico. It will also have a factory punch, usually where the figure is attached to the blister, but it looks like this one does not have that punch. And that does happen occasionally. I do occasionally see Made in Mexico card backs where the punch, there's a little hole that you usually see on the back of the card, usually around the Return of the Jedi language or by the C-3PO carrying case head, but this one is missing that punch. So that might be why it yellowed. I don't know. But just an interesting kind of data point there for a nice Biker Scout. That sold for 421 US dollars on free shipping. Next up, we had, this is the only packaged item that was not mint on card. This is an actual packaged speeder bike, and this one was graded AFA 80. Beautiful example. Here's the back. Usually that flap has a heavy crease. It does look like it has a little bit of crease there, as you can see, going from the left-hand side on the back over to Chief Chirpa's head, but it's very faint, and it got the AFA 80 grade. Here is the label on it. So it is factory sealed because it doesn't have the qualified grade. If you see a Q next to the number, next to the 80 there, this will be qualified, meaning that it's no longer factory sealed. But since that doesn't have this on the grading label, you know that this is a mint and sealed box, factory sealed speeder bike. That sold for $325 plus $15.27 shipping. I think that's a pretty fair price for a mint and sealed box high grade speeder bike. This was an interesting one. This was a Power of the Force Darth Vader, heavily yellowed blister, but graded AFA 80. And here are the subscores, 75, 80, 85, and it's got that yellow designation. Now, we documented one in the same grade that was unpunched a few months back that sold for about $1,200. This one was punched, and it sold for $910. So that just shows you that either the market softened a little bit, or because it's punched versus unpunched, and the yellowing on the blister is quite a bit heavier than the one that we documented a few months back on the channel. So as a result, the price came down a little bit. So, you know, this was a good solid, you know, let's call it 25 to 30% less than the one that was unpunched that wasn't nearly as yellowed on the blister. So just another data point there. Here was a really nice example of the Palatoy Tri-Logo low grade Medicine Man. It looked to be probably low 80, 75 plus condition, a lot of edge wear, a little crease in the upper right hand corner, probably more like a 75 grade. Just really tough to find these Palatoy Tri-Logos in high grade, but pretty nice example overall, and it was listed for $250 and best offer accepted, so it sold for less than that, plus $20 shipping. But you know, it's tough. It's tough. I'd probably say 75 plus, just given the light crease in the upper right hand corner on the front of the card, as well as that pretty sizable ding that you see there on the blister. But nice clear blister, low gray. And then a few Droids items did sell. A couple of Tig Froms. Tig From and you know, Size From. We've documented a ton of them that have sold here recently. And I think it's because the prices have accelerated so much for those two characters in particular. But in this batch, 2 Tig Froms did sell, one ungraded and one graded. And this one was a pretty nice example, unpunched with the KB Toys price sticker, but it was a clear blister, which is common for Tig From. It did have a little crease there in the lower portion of the card back on the front. That one sold for $835 plus $11.75 shipping. Here's the back of the card. And this was made in Mexico, so that's probably part of the reason why that blister stayed clear. But again, we just documented that that Biker Scout that was a MIM card back that had yellowing, and it could be related to storage. You know, if you store any of these vintage card backs in a very hot environment, they're going to yellow, whether they're made in Mexico or they're straight U.S. Kenner products. But so you had that one that sold, and this one was an AFA 80 and clearly in much better condition, and that only sold for $9.98. So this one sold for $8.35, but it had that big crease down there on the lower part of the card back, versus this one that was an AFA 80 without that crease for only a little bit more. So I think whoever got this one, I think, got the better deal. And here's the grading label on it. 80, 85, 80 were the subscores, archival case. So I think this was the better deal, even though it was a little bit more expensive. You know, it was about $160 more expensive, but it was a much higher grade and already graded versus the one that had that crease. But very nice example. This one was a really nice example of Kia Mall, but it was yellowed. It was slightly yellowed, very slightly. You can see there that the blister has yellowed just a little bit, but a pretty nice example overall. No price sticker. This was the Kenner Canada version. You can see La Guerre des Etoiles on the upper portion of the card back, unpunched. That sold for $207.50. I think that's a great price, even though it's slightly yellowed. We did document one a few months back that was a clear blister Kia Mall that sold for double that price. That sold for a little over $400. So pretty decent deal. Just for the slight yellowing, it brought the price down a little bit, combined with maybe the economic environment. People are maybe bringing their offers down a little bit, but pretty nice example for Kia Mall. But overall, I would say that the market has not reacted yet to kind of the recession news that's out there. We've documented a number of videos on my channel, probably to your chagrin, about the current environment economically, both within the U.S. as well as globally, but it just seems like the prices have not been affected that much. The telltale sign will be at the end of this month with the latest Hakes auction that just started bidding on July 5th. And there are a number of very, very high-end items. And again, we talked about whether high-end items are going to be affected by the recession. I don't know if they necessarily will, just given that maybe a lot of those buyers for those multi-$1,000 items are somewhat recession-proof. And so it'll be fun to see. I think the bidding on those in like July 25th to 27th, somewhere in there. And I'm certainly going to be watching a number of items, and we'll document what those sales prices look like towards the end of this month. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing. To my existing subscribers as well as my Patreon supporters, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.